Hello friends, welcome to another interesting session of SAP UI5 and Fury. This will going to be a very important session as well, as I am going to show you the end-to-end implementation of a simple UI5 application. Here I said end-to-end, that means I will show you how we do development in the both back-end and front-end part and how we can integrate them. Before going into the details of the session, let me briefly introduce myself. Friends, my name is Parthasarathi Goswami. I am a consultant with over 6 years of rich experience in SAP technical, including all RISEP developments, along with good functional knowledge. I worked for multiple industries like pharmaceutical, distribution, manufacturing, for their software and application developments. I have played different role in my professional experience, like from independent developer to techno-functional consultant, leading technical team, as a trainer to give niche skill training, and technical functional solutioning. To know more detail about me, just give a pause and check it from here. Let's move into the end-to-end UI5 application development session. This is an architectural overview of the whole integrated systems. Here you can see we have we have SAP Business Suite at the very bottom level. On top of it we have SAP Native Viewer Gateway, and at the very top level we have SAP Fury and UI5 application. Those who are from SAP background, they should have already worked on the bottom level here, right? Here SAP Native Viewer Gateway will be acting as a middleware. So in our session I will explain you how to create OData services in backend ECC Native Viewer Gateway, create UI5 application in Eclipse frontend, and then consume OData services in UI5 and run the end-to-end application. So to begin with the OData services, so we create OData services in our backend ECC Native Viewer Gateway system. For that I have to go to the backend system. I'll go into the system. I'll show you how we can create it. So see, this is our Native Viewer Gateway system. I will go into SEGW transaction. This is the transaction. Here in this transaction I have one button, create project. After that I have to give the project name. Over here I am giving the project name as per user project 1. I have to give some meaningful description here. User project. And I have to select the package. Here I am selecting the local object. Okay. So here you can see, like, after creating the project, what are the basic components that have automatically generated. Here you can see the system generates 4 kind of folder over here. One is data model, one is service implementation, one is runtime artifacts, and fourth one is service maintenance. So if I'll go into the data model part, I can see there are 3 parts: entity types, associations, and entity sets. And inside the service maintenance also I have 2 parts. I will explain you later about this. So my intention in this session is I will create on table, database table, custom table here with all the user detail. Like there we will have email ID, first name, last name, address and age. And then I will pull all the information from our front-end UI5 application. I will show you in the front-end UI5 application through some browser. Here I will be using Internet Explorer browser. So let me show you the table which I will be using here. So this is the table that I have already created, zpar_user. Here you can see I have 5 fields: email, first name, last name, age and address. And I have input some values over here in this table. You can see there are 3 records in this table. So my intention is to show all the 3 records in our browser. So let's check it out. As I have told you, I have to create the OData services. That is why I have created one project in ACGW transaction. After creating the project, these are the components that automatically generated. After that, I will right click on data model and I will select the import part and DDIC structure. I will give the DDIC structure name. No, here I need to give the entity type name. So I have given the entity type name as user, and here I have to give the above structure name. Here you can see I have entity type component and I have another checkbox over here, create default entity set. Those who are from above background, for them entity type is the structure, is like a structure. That means user will be on structure which will contain different fields, and entity set will be the internal table of that particular structure. So I will be click on next. Here you can see all the fields that has there in the table zpar_user that has came on here. So I can choose any number of field by clicking the check boxes, and I will click on next. In the next screen you have the provision to give the key field. Like here I am choosing the email ID as a key field, and then finish. So after doing this step, you will see in the entity type, the user entity type has already been created with the property of the 5 field: email, first name, last name, age and address. And in the entity set as well, as I have given the entity type as user, so always the entity set name will be the entity type name and following with set, where S is cap here, and if you will go into the service implementation, you will find the user set here and 5 different operations. We have create, delete, read, query and update. Okay, so the next step is to generate the runtime objects. Here I am clicking on this button, and after that one pop-up box will come with some proposal name. You can always change the names. Okay, here you can see there are 6 different component name has came up over in this pop-up box. I will select OK, and I will like to save it in local object. It is taking some time because in background it is generating some auto generated class and methods. Here you can see in the runtime artifacts, now we have 6 different component. If I will double click on any of the component, I can see we have data provider base class, data provider extension class, model provider base class, model provider extension class, registered model and registered services. Right, so mainly we will write our code in the data provider extension class. So how to write the code? For that you need to right click on it and go to above workbench. Here if you scroll down at the very bottom level, you will find some method name over here. Okay, these are the method names. You can find the same method name in this section. These are the methods where you can write your own. As of now, I will write our code in this user set underscore get underscore entity set method. For that, you need to right click on it and select the redefine option. Okay, so you can see there is some code that has been commented. I will not use the commented code here. Okay, so as I have already told you, my intention is to pull the data from this gpar underscore user table and show it in the browser. Okay, so for that I have to declare the data internal table user type standard table z per underscore user. Okay, then I will select star from z per underscore user into table lt user. Then I need to export the data to our UI5 application. For that I have one parameter, this ET entity set. Okay, so I have copied the ET entity set. I have to push all my internal table data into ET underscore entity set. So in this regard I wanted to tell you what are the main important parameters over here. We have IT key tab, which in this internal table we can have all the input from our UI5 application. This is one of the important parameter, and another important parameter is ET entity set. In this entity set we are pushing all our selected data to be used in the UI5 application. So all the other parameters have their significant uses. I will explain you in some of our later session. So as of now I have done my coding, and I will activate this method. Okay. So you can see it is activated. Now what is next? After that I will go back into the ACGW transaction. Okay, so you can see I have service maintenance option, which I have not used yet. So in the service maintenance option I will go and register the service. Okay, I will click on this button. Do you want to continue? Yes. Here one pop-up box came up asking me the system alias name. I will give the system alias name as local. Don't worry, I will explain you from where I can get the system alias name. Here I need to save into some package. I am selecting the local object here. Okay, or you can always choose some package name. Let me put some package name also. Okay, no issue. I am selecting the local object name and saving it. Here you can see this service has been successfully registered because the registration status is green here. Similarly, I have to register this service as well. I'm selecting the local object here as well, and I'm saving it. So see, this has also been green. That means we have successfully registered our created services, right? So as of now, keep in mind that this is our service name, zipper underscore user underscore project on underscore srv. Okay, so we are almost ready with all our development from the backend perspective. Okay, and now the time is to test the service through gateway client. I'm clicking on the gateway client button here. Here you can see, and here I can select some particular entity set that I have already created. So this entity set that I have already created, user set, I am selecting this. Okay, so this requested URI has changed automatically, and now I have different HTTP methods over here: get, post, put, patch, merge, delete. Okay, so as of now I am selecting this get because my intention is to read the data from database table. Okay, so I am executing it. See, it returns the HTTP response, HTTP status code as 200. Okay, 200 means it is green. It has successfully pulled the data from the database table. So let's try. Let's check what are the data comes here. See, these are the data that comes from the database table. That means we have successfully done our backend service implementation. Now what next? Okay, so this is the place from where you can get the service name. Okay, so to find the service name, you have to go to the SP arrow transaction and follow the path, and then if you will find the system alias name. Sorry, this is to find the system alias name. From this path you will find the system alias name that has already been configured by the basis guy. Okay, so this is the recap. In the ACW transaction we have created one project. Under the project we have data model, service implementation, runtime artifacts, and service maintenance. In the data model part we declared our entity type and entity set, and after that we generate the runtime object clicking on this button. And after creating the runtime artifacts, we have the data provider extension class. In the data provider extension class we go into our entity set method and implemented our code to pull the data from the database table, and after that we have generated the service maintenance and we have registered it, and after that we have tested it through our gateway client. What next? Next part is we have to develop our UI5 application in Eclipse frontend, right? For that I need to open the Eclipse first. As in my previous session I have already told you how to create the UI5 application in Eclipse. So here I will give the respective code for our particular application. Okay, so to quickly recap, to create UI5 application you have to go into the file menu, then new, others, then select the application project that comes under SAP UI5 Application Development and click next. It will ask you to give some, let me try it here. It will ask you to give some project name, okay, and what are the libraries that by default you want to use. It will input all the libraries while creating the project, okay, and after that in the next screen you have to give the view name, right? So I am not repeating the same step here. So in this you can see I have already one project created, and in that project I have the code implemented, right? So in that code I will show you how we can design the UI part. Like here I have simply deployed on table. Okay, for that I have created on table object. Okay, after that, after creating the table object with the proper title, visible row count, selection mode, here I am using the selection mode as selection mode dot single. And after that, in the second step, I need to add some columns to show up in the table. Okay, with using the table object, I am doing the code to add the different column name. Here I am using OData underscore add column. Add column is the method, and here you can see you have the provision to keep the label template, and with template, here template will bind, you will have the bind property method. Okay, so in the bind property method, I am using the property value, and the field name is email. Here you need to keep in mind this field name is case sensitive, so whatever the field name in your service, you have to give the proper field name. So I have 5 different columns: email, first name, last name, age, address. Okay, that I added the columns into the table. And in the third step, this is a very much important step. Here I will create the model object with OData model services. Here you can see I have created on model object. Okay, using the acp.ui.model library. As of now, we were using the acp.ui.commons library, but now we are using acp.ui.model library. Okay, and here I am using OData model method. In this method, I need to provide the path, service path, OData service path. So where from you can get the service path? Let's check. So when you test your gateway client, from here you have to use this path in your UI5 application. Okay, along with the entity type. Here the entity type is user set, right? I am going back into the Eclipse, and according to your requirement, you have to give the user name and password. And in the next step, you have to create the relation between model, that is backend data, and UI5, that is front end, by using setModel method. And after that, you have to bind the service entity set with UI5 element by using bind rows method. Here I am using user set because user set is our entity set name, right? And at the very end, we have to place all our table UI5 component into sub component into some proper place. Here the place is content. This is the content. Here it will be placed. Here you might have observed that this is not the correct service path that I have already created right now. So let me change the service path name. Okay. Let me copy the service path name from the gateway client. Here I have to remove the user set because the entity set I will bind it here in the bind rows method. Okay, so now we have done all our backend development as well as the front end development. So it's time to test the end-to-end application. To test the end-to-end application, you have to right click on the project name and choose the run as, then web app preview. Yes. Wow, all the records has came up in our browser. So let's check it in browser as well. Great. So you can see all the 3 records has came up in this browser as well. So let me do some more testing. I mean, let me put some other records and see whether that will also come in our browser or not. Create entry. I am creating another entry into the table. Let's check. Let's say like first name is giving any arbitrary name. Last name, age is 50, address is UK. Okay, I'm saving it. Okay. So it has already successfully saved in the table. Let's check whether it is coming in our browser or not, in our UI5 application. I will just refresh the same link. Yes, it has came up